So I just have to make this joke because I guarantee it comes up every year. That somebody says, well, you Catholics, you just don't understand. It's crazy. Why would you celebrate the Immaculate Conception 2 weeks before Christmas if it takes 9 months? And of course, the joke is, well, no, the Immaculate Conception celebrates Mary's conception in the womb of her mother Anna. And I just always think it's so strange. So many people don't know that. But I want to explain the Immaculate Conception this way. You know how everything now on the news is about the vaccine for COVID? It's rolling out. And think about that. With the vaccine, there's 2 ways to get out of an illness. One is, heavy antibiotics when you do get sick, or the other is, a vaccine, so you're immune to the sickness and you never fall into it. And the Immaculate Conception is like that Mary in the womb is graced by the Holy Spirit. She is preserved from the stain of original sin. And I actually think that's beautiful. But so the Immaculate Conception, we would say right from the moment in the womb, Mary was graced by the Holy Spirit. If I'm explaining it to little kids, I say the Immaculate Conception kind of celebrates Mary's baptism in the womb. And then you have to explain, well, yes, Christ can do that because Christ is God, and God can work outside of time. So it's not like Mary saved herself. It's Mary cooperated with the grace of the Holy Spirit right from the womb, that she was preserved. She was baptized immediately. And oftentimes people say, well, where's the biblical evidence for this? Well, number one, we do know ancient Christians celebrated the Immaculate Conception, but if you want to look at the biblical evidence, I know this sounds strange, I want to go with the colors blue and gold. And I mentioned blue and gold for this reason. Once again, I'm a little surprised that, no offense, a couple of our parishioners didn't know that blue was Mary's color. And there's a reason for it, and it's in the Old Testament. And the colors are blue and gold. So, like Notre Dame football, which, by the way, Mary loves Notre Dame football. Actually, a saint, St. Lou Holtz, said so it's got to be true. And why is Our Lady's colors blue and gold? And the reason why is, in the Old Testament, when God gives instructions to build the tabernacle, the Ark of the Covenant, because it was going to hold the bread from heaven, the holiest thing, it says in the Bible, not just holy, most holy, that it had to be pure. So they had to take the purest gold, and they covered it with this box with They had this box made of acacia wood and then covered it with the purest of gold. And acacia wood, just in Hebrew, is, you translate it, incorruptible. It's a really hard wood that doesn't, degrade quickly, so it's called incorruptible. Because if it's going to hold something holy, then it has to be most pure. So that's why the gold. The blue is because when they'd move the tabernacle, they'd cover the ark with this blue cloth. And so blue symbolized the divine presence. Actually, blue and gold both do. But blue, being covered with blue, means the divine presence is there. So that is the first tabernacle. The first tabernacle in the New Testament is Mary. And she is going to hold the bread of life, the presence of Christ in her womb. So the same way the first tabernacle in the Old Testament was made of the purest substance, this first tabernacle in the New Testament is going to be preserved from all sin. So we believe that, Mary was graced in the womb. So that's just first. Second, if you notice when the angel Gabriel comes to Mary and he says, blessed are you, when she says, Hail Mary, blessed are you among women, when he says blessed, the Greek is a little strange. The Greek, he greets Mary with, you should translate it if we want to be accurate. You who were blessed, is blessed, and will be blessed. Well, Mary's confused by that. When was Mary full of grace? Was, is, and will be. When did the grace start? Because it didn't start when the angel came. It started before. And early Christians would say, oh, she was preserved from sin right from the beginning to be the purest tabernacle. And I love that. So that's why it's blue and gold. And so Mary, we believe when the angel says was graced at the very moment of conception. And one of the things I'm most grateful for this year is during COVID, we did this consecration to Mary. Kind of crazy. I was supposed to go to Lourdes. COVID seems to interfere with my travel. And then I kind of thought, well, really, Lourdes can be anywhere. So I wanted to go to Lourdes and consecrate myself to Mary, and then I was talking to our deacon Shaq, and he said, well, you could do it here, and we could invite the parish. And so we did have this little booklet that did these meditations each day for the consecration of Mary. And I have to say, one of my favorites was from this Saint Maximilian Kolbe. He's a saint who, in the concentration camp, somebody escaped, so the Nazis wanted to make an example, and they picked some guy who had a family. And so Maximilian Kolbe steps forward and says he'll take his place. And he says, well, who are you? And he said, I am a Catholic priest. And Maximilian Kolbe had this devotion to the Immaculata. This is the Immaculata, Mary. And so he has this great reflection on the Immaculate Conception that I love. Now, I was talking to one of our parishioners, and I said, didn't you just love that reflection of Maximilian Kolbe? And our parishioner said, I didn't understand anything he was talking about. So I don't care. I'm still going to share it with you. If you don't understand what I'm talking about, that's all right. Just fall asleep. But Maximilian Kolbe says, the Virgin Mary didn't say, I was immaculately conceived. She says, I am the Immaculate Conception. So that's actually was, is, and continues to be. And he says, and he gets into a little bit of theology in the Trinity. He says, Mary was the created Immaculate Conception. But if you think about the Trinity, who is the uncreated Immaculate Conception? And if the Holy Spirit is the living love between the Father and the Son, the Holy Spirit is the uncreated Immaculate Conception. So when Mary says, I am the Immaculate Conception, she is the created Immaculate Conception. And what she's saying is, not only was she touched by the Holy Spirit right from the beginning of life, she continues to be completely united to the Holy Spirit. That we believe that she was open to every grace throughout her entire life. Every opportunity, she said yes to God. Every grace, she said yes to God, spilling none of the graces that God poured out upon her. And so, I know this is strange. My image, when Maximilian Kolbe was talking about that, is that, this is terrible, but I'm kind of a klutz. Completely disorientated. Whenever I go anywhere, if I travel to go anoint somebody, my joke is I will be pulling a U-turn because I always seem to get lost. And when I'm carrying a cup of coffee, please be careful because I turn suddenly and it spills all over. And it drives Shaq up a wall and said, you spilled coffee. And I said, it was there when I got here. But like a little kid carrying a cup, I tend to spill a lot. But I like the image of Mary, who every time the Holy Spirit was poured upon her, she spilt none of it. She was so careful. She said yes to every opportunity, to a deeper and deeper conversion. Yes to every moment of love. And so the Immaculate Conception has this idea of a freedom. That if you're always saying yes to God, then you're always saying no to ego and hatred and selfishness and worry and fear. You are truly set free to do the will of God. I love that. I am the Immaculate Conception means I'm completely united with the Holy Spirit. And Maximilian Kolbe imagined, what if, just like the Virgin Mary always said yes to God, what if there's a whole legion of millions of us who strove to be the image of the Immaculate Conception, so free that we say no to every moment of hatred or anger or revenge or superiority or worry, and always a yes to God. If that was true, Satan would have no hold on the earth. Nazism would be powerless. And I love the idea of all of us growing closer into the image of the Immaculate Conception, where all of us always say completely yes to God. I love that idea of the army of the Immaculata. And his dream is actually what we're celebrating today. As we celebrate that the Holy Spirit touched Mary in the womb so that she could be the pure dwelling place for the presence of God, all of us in this Eucharist also become tabernacles. Let us strive to be like Mary and be the purest dwelling place. And so together, let us stand, and in the company of Mary, let us offer our prayers.